All right, it's time for another And Campaign Civic update. And as many of you, I'm sure, have heard, Vice President Kamala Harris has chosen her running mate, and that running mate is Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. This comes as a surprise to many people, including myself, who thought that Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro really had it in the bag. He had shown that he was polished, he was doing really good in his interviews, and maybe more importantly than that, he was giving them almost a guaranteed 19 electoral votes. Because he's the governor of Pennsylvania and he's very popular. So they think people in Pennsylvania would have voted for Harris because of that. So I don't know exactly why she didn't choose Shapiro, but I do know that the progressive left made it very clear in the last few days that they didn't want Josh Shapiro, that some thought he was too close to corporations. Others didn't like his stances on Israel. And maybe that was enough for her to go into a different direction. But as far as Walz goes, this is someone who's a former teacher, someone who's a former football coach. I think he was in the National Guard for a number of years. And he really brings kind of a plain spoken, folksy appeal to this campaign, which I think really helps Kamala, because that's not necessarily her strength. And it might prevent her from being able to reach certain people. So he may kind of help her with that weakness. But to me, this pick is about primarily two things. Number one, I think it unifies the party. The progressive left couldn't have asked for more. I mean, this guy is really progressive. I'll get into that in a second. But they couldn't ask her to pick someone better for them, and that they pretty much asked for him explicitly. So I think it does unify the party in that way. And then also, I think it's a play for the Rust Belt. They believe, because of his profile and because of how he speaks, that he can talk and convince voters in places like Arizona and Georgia to come along with the Harris campaign. So we'll see if that's the case, but I think that's what they're making a play for. And they said, okay, we're still going to try for Pennsylvania, but we think we can get these other places, and we don't need Pennsylvania if we get a Georgia and an Arizona. Now, again, Walz is as progressive as you're going to get when it comes to fiscal things and also social things. He's very progressive, okay? So he's done things like, free school meals throughout Minnesota. He's enacted family paid leave programs, which are all good. Also done things like codified abortion, legalized marijuana. But if there's any issue socially that is progressive, Walz is all in. And I think that may bring a question to whether he can reach these people in the Rust Belt or not. So I think they might like his economic policies. I'm not sure they're going to connect with a lot of his very leftward social policies. And he's been in the front and pushing all that stuff. So we'll see what they value more. Is it the social policy, or is it the fiscal policy? Because that could be an issue when he comes down to places like Georgia and goes elsewhere in the Rust Belt. But we'll have to see. Look for a couple issues to pop up in regard to him, though. One of his biggest issues is going to be his response to the George Floyd riots in Minneapolis. I think you would have to say that his response wasn't very good. I mean, that city went through a lot, and it was going to go through a lot anyway, but he let it really just go on for 3 days. Then he finally calls in the National Guard after that. And it just didn't look good. Also, people may, take issue with his support of the lockdowns, very heavy on the lockdowns during COVID. So expect Republicans to hit on that. If you like this information and you want more, you got to listen to the Church Politics Podcast with myself and the Right Reverend Christopher Butler. God bless you.